This is Talia. If you've been watching the channel for a while, then you probably know that I was pregnant for a while. In November, our second child, our first daughter, was born. And today I thought I would share with you her birth story. Going into this pregnancy, making decisions about how we wanted the birth to go was pretty difficult. With the birth of our first, we had a home birth with a midwife. She was recommended to me by a friend who had known her for years and had her attend all of her children's births, I think. She was amazing. The birth went really well, but after he was born, I did have a hemorrhage and we ended up going to the hospital. So, come to this pregnancy, and my huge desire is to do it unassisted. But seeing what happened last time and knowing that I had hemorrhaged and that we did have to go to the hospital, it was a scary thing to think about. So, I kept saying, I'm just gonna hire a midwife, we'll just be on the safe side, we'll just hire someone. Have someone here just in case something happens. Even though in my head the whole time I'm saying, it's gonna be fine, it's not gonna be like last time, I'm gonna be okay. I was doing all these things to help prevent a hemorrhage, but even so, we were saying, we're gonna hire a midwife. We're just gonna be safe. And the weeks went by, and I kept not hiring a midwife. I had researched into several midwives in the area, and I had reached out to a couple of them and talked to them a little bit, but I was kind of procrastinating about it because every time I thought about hiring someone to come in and watch me during one of the most intimate experiences of my life, it just kind of made my stomach turn. I just didn't want to do it. So as the weeks went by and we were getting closer and closer to the due date, I was just having increasing anxiety about figuring out how the birth was going to go and whether we were going to be able to get a midwife there or not. So finally one day, I was really freaking out to Josiah about what we were going to do, and at that point it was getting close enough to the due date where if we didn't hire a midwife soon, we weren't going to be able to hire one at all. And so I was just kind of freaking out about the whole thing and not knowing what to do, and none of the midwives I had contacted seemed like people I wanted at my birth, and it was just making me really upset. So Josiah said to me, if what you want is to do it unassisted, then let's do it. We need to just let go of all of our fears about what's going to happen and just decide that we're going to trust Hashem to get us through this and that He has a plan. And so once we made that decision that we were just going to do it unassisted, it was like this whole weight was lifted off my shoulders. I was able to start thinking through my labor and delivery without fear and anxiety. I was able to start making lists and gathering all my birth supplies, and I was able to start cooking and putting away food in the freezer for postpartum. So I started gathering up tinctures and things that were supposed to stop a hemorrhage, and I taught Josiah how to do a uterine massage to stop a hemorrhage, just in case the same thing happened again and we ended up having to stop the hemorrhage on our own. So, with that decision made, we went ahead and bought all our birth supplies, bought everything I thought that I needed for postpartum recovery, and then it was just a matter of waiting. So on November 18th, around lunchtime, I think, as far as I can remember, I started feeling kind of icky and like a little bit crampy, but I had had a few days like that over the past couple weeks before that, and so I didn't think much of it. But going forward into the evening, I want to say around like 4 or 5 in the evening, I was pretty sure that I was in labor. I was cooking dinner at the time, so I just finished making dinner and went down and had dinner with my family, as if nothing was happening. The contractions were really, really mild at that point. I just went on with my evening. Came back up here after dinner, and contractions were getting a little bit stronger, but still were nothing I couldn't walk through, talk through. I just had a normal evening with Josiah. We put Asher to bed, and then I think I washed some dishes or something. I did decide to go to bed early because I knew that I was in labor, and so I didn't know how long that was going to last, how long we had before the baby was coming. But I honestly thought that we would go through until morning. At the rate that the contractions were going, they still felt so mild. I figured that we would not see the baby until morning. So I went to bed, slept for a couple hours. Eventually my contractions got strong enough that I couldn't sleep through them. So I got up, I did some walking around downstairs, went to the bathroom. I tried to go back to bed and lay down, and we had been practicing somewhat with the Bradley method of childbirth, where you're supposed to get into this really specific pose and then like relax your whole body into the contraction. I attempted that for a while on my own. I was able to get through the contractions okay. Still didn't seem super strong to me. Like the contractions didn't really feel painful. They were definitely powerful. So I just worked through the contractions on my own for a few more hours after that. But eventually they started getting strong enough that I was having a really hard time relaxing through them. So I ended up coming downstairs and I was walking through the contractions for the most part. It was getting kind of chilly, so I decided to get Josiah up to start the fire. Plus, I was getting to the point where I felt like I really wanted his support through the contractions. So I got him up, and we actually sat in bed for a few contractions, and I was able to lean back against him and really fully relax my body through the contractions. And that was a lot nicer than trying to lay down through them. So we did that for a few contractions. And then I decided I wanted to get up again. So we went downstairs and Josiah started to get the fire going. And I was about ready for him to bring the mattress down. We had decided that we were going to bring the upstairs mattress that we sleep on down here into the living room so that after the baby was born, I wouldn't have to go up and down the stairs. So he started getting the fire going, and then he would get the mattress brought down, and I was just walking and trying to get through the contractions. They were getting pretty strong at this point. And I can't say anything about how close together they were because I wasn't really paying attention to how close together they were. I never timed them or anything, but at this point, by the time I'd gotten Josiah up, they were quite close together. I was starting to feel a little bit more urgency to get everything ready. And in retrospect, I really should have just had him that evening before. I should have just had him bring the mattress downstairs. We should have just slept downstairs. We should have had everything ready. But we didn't. So while Josiah was getting the fire ready, I felt like I needed to go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom and had a contraction that felt really pushy. So I said to Josiah, you better go get the mattress and bring it down because I think I'm getting ready to push here. So he started rushing around. He had gotten the fire sort of going, and he went up to get the mattress brought downstairs. And as he was going up the stairs, I was like, oh, Josiah, no, I'm pushing, she's coming, now, go get my mom. So he ran down to the trailer and woke up my mom. And then he ran back up here as quick as he could and started bringing the mattress down. He got the mattress down the stairs. I was at this point standing in the kitchen, and the baby was coming. And I remember distinctly, as my body was pushing the baby out, I was not ready for this to happen. I was not mentally prepared to push this baby out. Because through the whole labor, I was sure that we were going to keep going for hours. I was sure that we were nowhere near ready for this baby yet. And then all of a sudden, I was pushing. And so I was mentally, I guess, resisting the urge to push. I was trying not to push because I was just not prepared for this baby. So as this is happening, Josiah's just getting the mattress down the stairs. My mom runs in with Emma, and she comes over and she stands next to me, and she says, okay, how are you doing? She checks on me, makes sure I'm okay. She asked me if I want to move over to the bed because Josiah's brought it down. I'm like, no, I'm not moving. This baby's coming out right now. So after my mom got there, I think I had sort of wrapped my head around what was happening. A couple contractions went by and I could feel her head. And then basically all in one contraction, head and shoulders just came shooting out. I was standing at the time. I was able to catch her head and sort of, so she didn't just fall onto the ground. So I was able to catch her head and I scooped her up and my mom helped me over to the bed. This all happened maybe within like a minute or two of my mom making it to the cabin. So she got there just in the nick of time. So my mom helped me over to the bed. We sat down with her. Pretty much as soon as we got over to the bed, I birthed the placenta. We got her all wrapped up in a warm blanket, and Josiah went to stoke the fire some more, get it warmed up in the house. After a few minutes, my mom said, okay, it doesn't look like the bleeding's slowing down. What they say is if it's gushes of blood occasionally, then it's okay. But if it's a constant stream of blood, then you're hemorrhaging. And so my mom said that it was pretty constant, and so we were starting to get a little concerned. We were starting to do all the things that I had prepared. After an hour or so, nothing seemed to be helping. I was still bleeding. And so we tried a little piece of the placenta. You cut a little piece of placenta and you put it inside your cheek. It's supposed to help your body realize that the birth is over and the uterus can contract. We did that, and maybe it seemed like it was slowing down, but I was still bleeding. So we started talking about whether we needed to go to the hospital. We went back and forth because at some moments I seemed like I was stopping, and at other moments it seemed like it was getting heavier. Overall, I felt fine, but we wanted to be safe, so we ended up deciding that we should at least drive to the city. It's about an hour away, so if I was still bleeding by the time we got there, then we would go to the hospital. So by the time we decided to go to the hospital, it had been 2 hours since she was born. It was 4 a.m. So my dad and Gabe and Josiah got me lifted up in a sheet and took me down to the car. At this point I was making sure to drink lots of liquids, and I actually had a green juice that I was drinking to replenish my iron as I was hemorrhaging. During the whole drive to Coeur d'Alene, I felt great. I wasn't feeling lightheaded or dizzy at all. I was just chilling in the back seat, enjoying my new baby girl, which was a good sign because when I hemorrhaged with Asher, I passed out almost immediately after I started hemorrhaging. And then 2 more times after that before we got to the hospital. So the fact that I was still conscious and feeling good was a good sign. And as we were driving, I started to feel some really intense after-birth contractions, which I took as a sign that my uterus was doing its job and contracting down to its normal size. It just took it a little while to get the memo. By the time we got to Coeur d'Alene, the bleeding was very minimal. It had pretty much stopped except for the occasional gush. So, what we decided to do was to just hang out in Coeur d'Alene for a while and make sure I was stable, make sure I was doing good. We went and got some coffee. After, I want to say, another hour of waiting in Coeur d'Alene, I wasn't feeling lightheaded or dizzy. I was able to walk around. I had enough strength to do that. So we decided that I was gonna be okay, and we just turned right back around and went home. We got home, and Asher was able to meet his baby sister. I settled down into bed with my little girl, and that was Friday morning, so my mom made Shabbat dinner that night, and we were able to spend our first Sabbath as a family of 4. All in all, I'm glad that we decided to birth unassisted. The birth went beautifully, and though I did hemorrhage, we were able to handle it. I didn't pass out like I did last time, and I didn't have to go to the hospital. Postpartum recovery has been much easier on me, emotionally and physically, without the trauma of having to go to the hospital. And at the end of the day, we have this beautiful baby girl. Say bye. Bye. But it was